On a recent walk around Michigan State's campus, there was a man with a bullhorn warning people who drove by about the dangers of sin and hell. I thought, that's judgment and fear. That's not sharing God's love. That's not good news. What is that guy doing? Evangelism is a word that comes from the root word for good news. And instead, it's often become a word marked by discomfort and disagreement. And like that guy on the street corner, well, it can be laced with judgment and with wrath. Now, the word evangelical, which shares the same root as evangelism, might be a word with even more baggage. And as we consider that word evangelism, some good questions might come to your mind. Is it possible to share your faith without shoving it down people's throats? That's a good question. What does evangelism have to do with social justice? That's a good question too. Is evangelism even a Christian activity in the light of the history of the Inquisition, Crusades, colonialism, and America's manifest destiny? That's a good and very tough question. In a globalized, religiously pluralistic world, is evangelism exclusive? Is it fundamentalist and destructive? Doesn't it contribute to hostility and religious violence? Those are good questions as well. And all of these are questions that I've asked myself. And they reflect both a mistrust and a misunderstanding of evangelism in the church. Now, that misunderstanding comes from the inadequacy of most of what we've learned about evangelism. That mistrust comes from the poor attempts in the past around evangelism that have done a lot of harm. And both are understandable reasons for avoiding evangelism. And yet most of us probably know that evangelism is one of those things that followers of Jesus should do. We know we should do evangelism, but we've rarely been taught in helpful ways how to actually share and talk about our faith with someone else in a way that's positive for both parties. It's a fact that a lot of awkwardness at best and, well, outright harm at worst has been done in the name of evangelism. Now, maybe you've seen or experienced some of that awkwardness or harm yourself. Let's pause a moment and reflect on that. Here's our first question for discussion. When have you had a bad experience with evangelism? And when have you been on the receiving or delivering end of some evangelism awkwardness or even harm? Let's take a moment and let's talk about it.